Today on the Euro Truck Podcast, cabin accessories are coming to Euro Truck Simulator 2, RollerCoaster Tycoon Worlds will release in December, Hitman has been delayed, and the 5-minute MOBA Call of Champions has been revealed. Hello and welcome to the Euro Truck Podcast with Andrew C.
And Jefferson B.
It's Libby Kitten.
And Freelance Gamer, Jeff, leave me alone, Jeff, leave me alone.
Why you gotta,
Why you gotta be so
sir.
rude?
Because you stopped, and I was already going. I was
I
rolling.
am angrily pressing my H key at you.
I thought it was the N key for noise.
No, that's the bigger one. This was the more horny of ones.
Wouldn't it be more appropriate to use the N for noise one? What on earth just happened back there?
You get what you deserve.
Did you take any damage when you ran into me, Jeff?
I didn't run into you. I ran into a guardrail.
I'm at 82%, by the way. Thanks, Andy.
Why didn't do anything? There was no stopping on my part.
Points to the screen. Points to the screen.
Lags. I call lags.
I was gonna say I literally didn't do anything. I've been accelerating.
Dude, this has happened. This happened when I was on the East Coast, the West Coast. Doesn't matter what coast I'm on.
Oh, that's true. Your ping is even worse now than it ever's been before.
Yeah.
You're on the opposite coast of.
But it used to happen back there anyway. We used to have this happen all the time.
All the time.
This is true, but I forgot that your ping is even higher now.
Smashing W key. It is the ultimate way to restart an engine.
I thought it was smashing W and spacebar.
See, I thought that too.
Oh dear, I was supposed to exit off-roading.
Wait. Isn't spacebar the parking brake?
It is.
Yes.
For some reason, that helps restart a vehicle.
In this game.
Yeah.
Really well. Like, it does, at higher damage numbers, it does, but at the same time, where I'm at right now at 80 to 83%, smashing W works better. Like, I could probably restart my engine before I have to stop if I do it. Come on.
Trucks just got personality, man. Let's move on to some news.
Yeah, we got some newsy news. So less news than last week, but
yeah.
You know.
Top of the news. Talking about that great Star Wars Battlefront, a game that at least I'm really excited for, mainly just because I feel like you could slap Star Wars on like I was about to say lunchbox, so I'm like, no, they've done that before.
A flamethrower? You can slap it on a flamethrower?
I would buy a Star Wars flamethrower so fast, so help me.
You might need a permit for that.
Anybody else? Okay, you live out in California, man. You need a permit for everything.
No, okay, fact, but I'm pretty sure even in Pennsylvania you need a permit for that one.
Guaranteed.
Hey, I'm in Virginia. Nobody cares about us here. Just like, yeah, whatever.
You might have a point there, actually.
You still probably need a permit, though.
Probably do. But anyway, so Star Wars Battlefront coming up with some dedicated servers, and what's going to be interesting about it though is there's no clear-cut way to browse through the servers. So good luck with that. Hope that the party system from all of your great Xbox and PSNs are gonna fix that. But we have an open beta though coming up when this video comes out. It will be next week over the weekend. It'll be a Wednesday. I think it's a Wednesday through a Sunday.
Something like that.
October 8th through 12th. That's the easy way to say it. October 8th through 12th. So if you're watching this video and it's October 13th, it sucks to be you.
Yeah, you've missed
Wait
the beta.
for the full game. Buy it when it comes out. Support the developers.
Yep.
They work really long and hard to feed their families by making games.
With that open beta, it is all platforms, so PS4, Xbox One, and PC through Origin.
I didn't see this, but I wonder if it's
through Origin. So will it be a free open beta then?
Yeah, it's a free open beta. Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
I am so doing that.
Yep.
See, we had this conversation earlier that EA, while can be scumbags, are generally pretty good about saying if you pay for this, you get X.
Well.
Generally, they're pretty good about that.
Yeah,
so they would have easily worded it so more people would buy it than assume they'd be wrong. Like they would more likely be able, if you bought the game, you get access to the open beta, and then more people would buy the game. That's their way of monopolizing money, or continuing like monopolizing their product and making more money.
Right. Turns out they didn't actually do that.
Right. It's actually free, open. I'm gonna try it. I mean, hey, I'll try any game for free.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, I'm not gonna buy it, but I'll
Literally,
try.
the only expense is
I don't
going
know.
to be my
If
time.
it was like super good and we all enjoyed it, I'd consider it.
I would consider it.
$60. I spent $60 on GTA. I'm kind of done with spending money on games.
Never.
In fact, although I didn't actually spend $60, I spent $48.
Uber Shadow is 100% not the EA.
Yeah.
Why need Origin? I have Steam.
EA could buy Fallout and he'd stop playing Fallout.
Rip Fallout.
Yep. See,
I mean,
that's what I thought.
yeah.
If you
I
had to
agree with
use
that, though.
Origin to play Fallout, you'd be just like, nope.
Origin, I don't like Origin, so like I'm not a fan of the system.
I don't like it either. But it's not
Talking about
terrible.
Fallout, how about the no exclusive DLC for any system? They're all getting the same system.
That's pretty decent right there.
Which
You
I
know,
thought,
they're all getting at least the same time.
Yep, they're all getting it. Instead of doing it in like a weird like, oh, PC gets it a week before everyone else. It's just no, you're all getting it at the same
No,
time.
usually it's usually PC gets it like a month
At
after.
last. Yeah, we get it last. I know. All right, I was living in a dream world there.
We always get everything last. I'm
We got
talking to
GTA
you,
last.
Rockstar.
Yeah, damn right. Oh, well, we fixed all this. I mean, the PC elitists will say this. Oh, well, with the console peasants, beta test it.
Right.
But I'm gonna be honest. Most of that community is kind of feeling a little bit bored by it because
It's the same game.
it's the same game.
There's
It's the
a
same
little
game.
more,
There's a little more. They
but
add
it's
some
the
new
same
content.
game.
But you like,
Come on.
you get PC elitist all you want. You're being blind.
Right. So, yeah, that I totally agree with that. But while we're on the topic of Fallout, I did want to mention that there's a new Twitch plays going on, and it's Twitch plays Fallout 3. And from what I took a look at it today, it does appear that is they're playing in the Dark Souls method, where
Dark Souls.
which speaking of Dark Souls, they did beat that game.
Spoiler alert.
Which is
They
ridiculous.
beat it in 900 lives or so.
Yep.
That,
and
I
it
think
took
it's
about
better than some
That's
Dark
better
Souls
than I
games.
probably would do.
yeah, and it was about 43 days.
That's insane.
And they're gonna move on to Dark Souls 2 now, and see. And I'm pretty sure they're using the exact same model they used
The same
for.
system. I wonder. I need to look into that more. I need to find out what system they used because I'm curious how much of it was like democratic votes. Because like, I don't understand how you can act quick.
The way
based
that
on the voting system.
the way that the voting system worked was the game paused for a predetermined amount of time every
And then
move.
set moves.
Right, and then they would combine moves and whatnot, and they would actuate them all at once after the pause, and then it would pause again. And that's what I'm seeing. They're doing very similar things with Fallout 3 to be able to play the game because of how you need to really operate it. So it seems like that was the only way they really could do it. But hey, they beat the game.
Monkeys on typewriters, yo.
Exactly. I mean, even though they had
Monkeys
to
on
use a
typewriters,
modified method, they beat it.
Okay, happy National Coffee Day, by the way. Ah! Alright. That is not me celebrating National Coffee Day, which was last Tuesday, but rather me basically running into Iron Jersey.
You ran into a side, a berm, technically.
Because
but
my brakes were decent enough on this vehicle.
upgraded brake. Every ghosting vehicle has upgraded brakes.
Except for maybe mine.
No.
I found Osnabrück.
Hey,
Yeah.
nice. We're some distance away from Osnabrück.
We are some distance away.
Yes,
We're almost
back
there.
so-
We're on a podunk road coming up on Osnabrück at the moment.
Is that an Andy? Is that
Yes,
a
it is.
Andy!
Also, let's bring up the fact that
Oh god.
the new Call of Duty isn't gonna have
Uh,
campaigns anymore.
Yeah, they're doing the co-op campaign setup for only, and they're not putting any any supposed single player. But if you read the post they did, the co-op campaign is for the following numbers of player: 1 to 4. I went. You're kidding me.
So it's
No. It's a co-op campaign. No.
That's weird.
that's
I feel like
just really
I
weird.
sense a contradiction of brewing.
It was a little. And then their argument, I guess the argument's going to be somebody can go, well, it's a co-op campaign, but you can beat it by yourself.
Hey,
And I'm not really sure if anyone's grasping the concept of what that means. To me, it's single player that you can play co-op, but at the same time, like, it depends what they make it. Is it actually story mode or is it mission based?
Right.
I think it's mission based, which kind of makes me go, oh, I see what they're doing. But at the same time, they remove single player. Now, I can understand certain genres that used to not have single player when they started out, like Battlefield. Battlefield didn't have a single player. It was a strictly multiplayer game when it first came out. So I could see them, because they started doing a single player campaign, and in a couple other games, Bad Company 1, Bad Company 2, which I thought were good, or fairly good at least. Bad Company 1 was a lot of fun.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Up. James Franklin Heineman rams into
I apologize. I was trying to write on my show notes. Spoiler
Fail.
alert, we're all over.
additional things into show notes at the moment.
Spoiler alert to those watching, we're all over the place on the show notes, so I have to add things so that I know what to do when I edit this.
Right.
Anyway. Engine malfunction.
Anyway, so then they did Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, and Hardline. I know Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 had single players. I think Hardline has one as well. And I could see them going, hey, guess what? We're going back to strictly multiplayer. Because they started that way. Call of Duty 1 was a single player game. I had multiplayer with it, but it had a single player campaign. To remove that is kind of to taint the original essence of what that series and franchise was.
Right.
It to me is almost feeling like you're effectively lobotomizing everything that made Call of Duty what it was great.
Part of its personality. Yeah. And like to me, it's not like I can't argue it too much because I think the last couple Call of Duty single players have been trash.
But they don't put out upgrade into it. But people fighting for the multiplayer.
Right. I'm not even gonna curse when talking about it because that's how serious I am. Like I really do think they were trash games.
I would agree because I mean I feel like there's only so much story that can be told when your audience isn't there for a story. If they were there for a story, if this was like a dedicated story-based game, I mean, I love the FPS as much as any COD bro, but I mean seriously, we play it for the lulls and for the multiplayer.
See, a lot of people say that, but it's the community that did that. It's not the developer. Like,
right.
Because
a good example
is Call of Duty 4 itself was fantastic. And then we look at, from Call of Duty 4, we go to, what is it, Modern Warfare 2? I want to say? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and Modern Warfare 2 is where it was like, alright guys, you're getting very cinematic, and this was really fun, but the storyline is getting a little bit meh. But it was fun, and it was really cinematic, and really, it was a nice experience, in my opinion. But it was really like, but it was easier and a little bit like disappointing to some extent. And then that line right there was where we had the divide. We had the people who were like, "Hey, bring back the story of awesomeness," and then we had the people who were like, "Hey, bring the multiplayer." And then we had the split kind of there of Treyarch and Activision set. And Treyarch went and made Black Ops 1, which I thought was a good story and a well-done game for single player.
I want to take a moment. I want to touch on something that you had said earlier about the fact that it was the community that had decided that Call of Duty was going to be a multiplayer-based franchise. And I'm kind of wondering, is that something that the player is that a decision that the player is allowed to make?
I think so.
As the consumer of the content, or is the responsibility of its classification up to the developer?
I think it's a mixed choice. Like to me, you should always aim for both. You shouldn't. If you're gonna make a game for multiplayer because the players are going to buy it for multiplayer, they should have cut the story out a long time ago.
See, what's interesting about your response, though, if I may put a rebuttal in, is I find that would almost mean that you create this half-ass game that like isn't fully one way and it isn't fully relying on the other. And so, I mean, something like Minecraft. Minecraft was made for its community. The community that built up around that, they decided the direction of it.
Correct.
Something on the side,
if you don't have the talent to make the game, and you end up making a half-ass game, you should have chosen, which I think every Call of Duty after it was, you should have chosen to go strictly with 100%. None of this, here's a shoddy single player with the same multiplayer you played with slightly new mechanics.
Oh dear. Oh, bad things have occurred.
Oh god.
Oh dear. I am so sorry.
And then,
bad things are occurring still.
Stop. It's happening all in front of me. Anyway, so to me, that's what happened. Is they didn't make the choice to either go, hey, we need to make this. Like they didn't put enough effort into both.
Come on, Bessie, you can start again.
Here's like 70% effort in what the multiplayer which people want, and here's 30% effort or 40% effort in this.
Yeah.
When they need to be putting either 100% in one, 50-50 in both, they need to balance and they needed to balance it better. And I don't think they did for the past almost all of the Call of Duties after Black Ops 1, including Treyarch's side, by the way. It's not just Activision that's done this.
So our hope that we can take away from this is that
The
this
multiplayer
better
will
be
phenomenal.
one stinking awesome multiplayer setup.
Yeah, exactly. If it's not, then you know what they did? They gave up on something and they made it crappy, and that's bad. And the fact that they put in the co-op, which comes from zombies, which is part of it, you know, like working with your friends to do these things, which is awesome. It's a great idea, and they can do a lot with it. And generally, zombies is the only thing that, like, a lot of people who continue to play, were they like the zombies mode.
James Franklin Hyman, I was right behind you.
Oh God. But they don't, you know.
teleported.
But so they have a lot of work, a lot of wiggle room, a lot of work room to make a really cool co-op campaign or co-op mission set. But I don't feel they're going to. I've given up on them as a set of developers for when it comes to video games surprising me.
And this is one of I feel like one of the key, I don't want to call it a fault. This is one of the key challenges of being in the hardcore gaming scene, is when something that we really want to work
Doesn't.
probably won't.
It probably won't. We have this like, we really want it to, but you're worried. A great example, Blizzard's release of Warlords of Draenor. I knew what was gonna happen on day one, and I suffered through it.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of knew that the expansion from just that day was going to be one of those expansions I played for a couple months and dropped.
Good stuff. It's good stuff. Can we, since we're already here in Amsterdam, do we want to move on to these unique little ghost tidbits we've got chilling in our show notes here?
No, sure.
I think we've hit a little bit on most of them.
Indeed. Hitman, the next Hitman game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's a thing.
That's being delayed.
That game is getting delayed. Yeah, the game was supposed to come out in December,
Right.
and it's not coming out till March 11th now.
Hey, that's my birthday.
So
Hey, look at that! We're buying you a game, and you're
I-
recording for the channel. You've already volunteered.
Wait. I actually don't. I've never played Hitman games.
That's what's
I
happening.
think I own them.
Nope,
Like, I
too
think they're
bad.
just in my Steam library because like my brother bought them or something. But
Play them beforehand and get some context, or you just end up on this one first.
oh dear.
The Hitman's doing like some kind of, like, you get a light version where you get 3 levels for $35, or the full content for $60, something like that.
right, yeah. So it's kind of
That's
split up the way that the game is being released. So the first on March 11th, when that part of the game comes out, it's not the full version of the game that's ready yet. So in order to get
Kyle.
the game released at all, they're doing it in 2 parts technically.
Right.
So actually it could be considered even more than 2 parts, but the first part is what they're calling an intro pack. You could buy that right now for $35, and then if you decide you like the game, you can go ahead and buy the full version, which would then cost an additional $30. So you end up spending $5 more than the
Right.
full
And the
game
full release,
pre-order.
right.
But basically, you get 3 locations up front, and
3
then
levels,
3,
yep.
and as well as mission levels on top of that. So there's 3 playable sandbox games, basically, sandbox
so now,
locations.
That's available like right now. Like I could leave this game.
No,
and-
those will be
that's-
available March 11th, as far as we understand.
Right.
Okay, so we're talking about literally getting content a month early.
Well, up to 3 months early, technically. So each month, from April through June, they'll be releasing a new location with missions that go to those locations.
Right.
So, and that'll happen over time. So in order to basically get, I assume, to get the game out quicker, they're splitting up some of the content. So some other ghost tidbits here. RollerCoaster Tycoon World,
My childhood.
which is
Oh,
technically
no.
RollerCoaster Tycoon 4 for all intents and purposes.
So,
That's
such
coming
my
out
child.
December 10th. It's going to have Steam Workshop support at launch. And it's going to actually have a lot of competition, apparently,
Really?
from what I've seen. Yeah, there's a game called Planet Coaster that's coming out, which is basically a spiritual successor to RollerCoaster Tycoon 3. It's made by the same developers who made that game. So yeah, that's a game that's coming out at some point. It's in, I want to say it's a Kickstarter type campaign.
that's cool.
I'm not positive on that though. But that's the company who made RollerCoaster Tycoon 3. This is a different company making what is basically RollerCoaster Tycoon 4. So how it will end up going is kind of questionable because of that. And there's also Parkitect, which is supposed to be very similar to what RollerCoaster Tycoon 1 and 2 was.
So did you say Parkitect?
Yeah, Parkitect, like architect.
Instead of architect, Parkitect. Play on words.
Bizarre. I mean, I guess you could call it a play on words. You could also call it foolish.
Yeah. Hey, that's what they're calling it.
Calling it foolish?
Apparently is what he's doing. I did want to mention one thing before we get to our last news topic, which will be a little bit more discussion based. There is a DLC coming out soon for Euro Truck Simulator 2, which will bring the cabin accessories to the game. It's going to be coming soon to you. Episode of Euro Truck Simulator 2
Are there
Cribs.
hula girls?
There are dancing hula girls you can put on your dash.
So
I know who's spending money on that.
Yep.
It starts with a doctor and ends with a shadow.
Which it's disappointing that he's not here to talk about this, because I know he would love it.
yes.
But you get your variety of hanging dice that'll hang from your mirror, little window flags that you can have. You can add curtains that are really tacky looking, but
tacky.
you know you want them.
My truck's gonna be the tackiest thing I've ever had.
And the decorations are physics enabled as well, so
That's gonna
you slam on your brakes and all of the things on your windows shimmy around, and you're dancing hula girls, and there's their bobbleheads.
How much physics are we talking? Are we talking to the point of which that if I do turns like I do now, my hula girl's gonna fly out my window and I gotta buy a new one?
The preview video didn't show it that extreme. It just showed them like wiggling and dancing. So I don't know if it's that extreme, but so those are things that are coming soon. They'll be in the next update to the game.
Next episode.
Yeah, the next episode. Yeah, no. The next game. And then the last ghost tidbit that I think Jeff is interested in here is it's a 5-minute MOBA for iOS called Call of Champions.
I just like the idea right off the bat here. So Call of Champions, we're talking about the massively multiplayer online battle arena, or massively online battle arena.
Multiplayer. Yep.
The multiplayer online battle arena, a game type which we're talking about months, years of hardcore, half an hour, at the bare minimum 20 minutes per game. It's an intense process. You're sweaty, you're crying, there's the weeping and the gnashing of teeth. I mean, it's all kinds of an experience. But what Call of Champions seeks to do is, instead of creating like this, hardcore and intense, rough and gruff system, actually creates a 5-minute, streamlined, there's with very little things to worry about. So like there's no items or minions or any type of leveling system. So it's just a really easy kind of like game of basically like a reverse tug of war. We're talking about a 3v3 game with 2 lanes and 2 different towers. And the object of your game is to push the sphere to the other side of the game, to the other side of the map. So I guess it's in a way almost like soccer meets tug of war meets a standard MOBA.
Right.
Yeah,
there's a little more than 2 towers. There's 2 towers per lane.
Yep.
And you get an advantage. Getting that giant sphere to the other tower puts some extra damage on that tower that you wouldn't be able to get, so it gives you a little bit of a game advantage. And then after that, it's just the team with the most tower kills at the end of 5 minutes wins.
Okay, and
even if you get the sphere to the complete other side, and it does all its shenanigans and creates
who gets the most tower kills in the end still wins the game.
So it's not like soccer at all then.
No, it isn't.
So that's going to be interesting. Okay, because I was going to say, if there's not a time restriction, I was going to say a great example is ARAM in League. That is meant to be a 15 to 20 minute game mode. And we have all had matches of hour.
Oh yeah, we've had long ARAMs before, but yeah, this is strictly.
But since it actually has a time limit, that's going to be interesting.
Instead of the counter going up, it goes down.
How do they resolve ties?
You might just
it was then most kills.
Cool. Got it.
Team with most kills then wins.
And then I'm assuming the double tie is something
that they don't expect to happen.
That's not good.
There was no mention of that in the information about the game.
Because that can happen. Okay, let me put it this way. You have thousands of people playing a game plenty of times a day because they can play it 12 times an hour.
Right.
It's going to happen, and I'm curious if they have a system put in place, and if they don't, how quickly they're going to put one.
Yeah,
Monkeys
right.
and typewriters freelance. But I'm curious, what's so bad if they tie?
So the whole thing is, it's a big part. So a lot of people won't care, and that's fine because you have the entire aspect of it's a mobile game, and you have that community, and you're the people who are looking for the casual of it. But I guarantee you, there's going to be the people who play MOBAs, which are generally competitive, and that's the nature they're built in. They're going to play them at home, and on the bus ride in, they're going to be playing these things, and there's going to be levels of salt if it's like, oh, you tied. Ties. Most people who are competitive hate a tie more than a loss.
That's interesting.
And on that bombshell, it is time to end. Thank you very much for watching this episode of the Euro Truck Podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. And to show that you did enjoy it, hit that like button as well as perhaps the subscribe button. We'll get all these videos right to your sub box. And we'll see more great content just like this every day. And we will see you guys next week.